Lección 5. Did I fool you? Did I look surprised? No? Okay, well, let's keep on going. Lección 5. Vocabulario básico, objetos. Look at how objetos is spelled. It's a cognate. Everybody wants to put a C in there. There's never one there. But anyway, vocabulario básico y objetos, preguntas importantes, masculino, femenino. I just read it to you. I know you can read it behind my back also. So, let's start out with 3 very important preguntas that we need to know how to ask at the very beginning of our Spanish experience. Okay? The first one is, ¿qué quiere decir? Because you're going to see Spanish words around the classroom, and you're not going to understand what they mean, or you're not going to remember what they mean, and everybody's entitled to forget. But instead of saying, oh, Maestro David, what does triángulo mean? And then we've got all this English going on. We have the opportunity to turn that into a learning a Spanish opportunity. So you're going to say, ¿qué quiere decir? And you'll say, ¿qué quiere decir triángulo? And I'll say, triángulo means triangle. Okay? So, ¿qué quiere decir? And then you put the Spanish word that you want to learn. After ¿qué quiere decir? You can say, ¿cómo se dice? And you can do this one in Espanol or in Inglés. For example, ¿cómo se dice vocabulario en español? I mean, no, that wouldn't work. That would be silly. ¿Cómo se dice vocabulary en español? And I'll say, vocabulary en español se dice vocabulario. Or you can see the word vocabulario and you can say, it's the same as ¿qué quiere decir, really. ¿Cómo se dice vocabulario en inglés? I'll say, vocabulario en inglés es vocabulary. Okay? Vocabulary. Vocabulario. Hey, let's learn some vocabulario right now. Okay, we're panning over. Pan. Follow me. All right, here we go. All right. El salón, or in el salón de clases. In some countries they say en la sala, or la sala de clases. Well, what do you find in la sala de clases? Lots of things. But let's start with las personas. Las personas. Well, we have el estudiante, el profesor, or el maestro, same thing, el muchacho, el chico, el hombre. Okay? All that's masculine. We're going to talk about that in a second. And then you also have la estudiante, la profesora, la maestra, la muchacha, la chica. The thing for me about chico y chica is that makes me think of sizes, but a lot of people say chico y chica for people. All right, and then la mujer. So, el estudiante, la estudiante, el profesor, el maestro, la profesora, la maestra, etc. These are all people, las personas. But wow, look at how I've separated them into males and females. I've separated them by gender. That's going to be important. Remember, gender in Spanish makes a difference. Probably does in English too. Although we're trying to make it less and less of it. Anyway, that's a whole other subject. So, let's go on to more vocabulario. Los objetos. Panning, follow me. Yeah. Este lado?
Sí.
Sí? Okay. Los objetos. Well, we have el pupitre, and thank goodness I don't have any of those in my classroom because they are so uncomfortable. Pupitre is that chair-desk combination that you had to sit in elementary and middle school, and when you stood up, it went with you. Okay? If the chair and the desk are connected together, that is el pupitre. Or as my Spanish 1 students always say, el pupitre. Okay, el pupitre. All right. Then we have la mesa. And look what I have. I have a mesa right here in front of me. Look, it's a mesa. Okay? Now there are obviously bigger ones, but that can be called la mesa. Now, let's imagine that this had a drawer that connected into it. Then it goes from being la mesa to el escritorio. Okay? That's the difference between a table and a desk. If you've got drawers to put them in, it becomes a desk. If it's just flat, it's a table. And that's probably not an exact science, but that's how I'm going to define it for you today. So we have el pupitre, la mesa, el escritorio. Then we have a very comfortable silla, la silla. Can you see me? La silla. Ha! See ya later! Ha! Ha! Que chistoso! Okay.
No.
La silla. No. Okay. La silla. Then we have la silla. Okay. Some countries they call this a bolígrafo. Some countries they call it a pluma. Except when I'm defining it, you will never hear me say el bolígrafo. But that is correct. El bolígrafo. It writes. Okay? I always say la pluma. That's just because that's where I learned Spanish. And that was the word that they used. La pluma. Then you have, there's a missing accent mark. And I don't have my marcador. Here we go. El lápiz. Alright, now, since I forgot to put that up there and I remembered, I'm emphasizing to you all. Remember, el lápiz. It's right here, yellow. Número dos. They're not the kind you do in the bathroom. Okay, el lápiz. La carpeta. That is a false cognate. Cognado falso. Here we have la carpeta. La carpeta. Hope y'all can figure that out. Okay. Then we have la hoja de papel. This is an hoja. Now, one thing to remember, when I say hoja, that usually means both sides, because it's a sheet of paper that's both sides, okay? Or you could say el papel, and then most people think, oh, just, papers. So, la hoja de papel, el papel, it's the same thing, but most people, like if a teacher gives you a worksheet, they'll probably call it una hoja, and then if they have loose leaf paper like this, or lined paper, they'll call it el papel. Then we have el libro. I know you already know this, but I'm going to go over it again. El libro. And finalmente, el cuaderno. El pupitre, la mesa, el escritorio, la silla, el bolígrafo, that is an accent, la pluma, el lápiz, la carpeta, la hoja de papel, el libro, el cuaderno. Final part of the lesson for today. We have masculino y femenino. Am I on the right side?
No, I'd get you on the other side.
Este lado?
Sí.
Okay. Masculino y femenino. Those are, remember how I had these separated out, the boys and the girls by gender? Here's where we get into gender. All of these words mean the. El and la, it means the. Los and las, when we get into the plural, also means the. Alright? I'm talking about nouns. What are nouns? Nouns are people, places, things, and concepts or ideas. Alright, those are nouns. In Spanish, they're called sustantivos. So, right now we're focusing on the singular, singular, which is funny because if you have el and la and you put it together, that's ella, and that's singular for one female. Ella, one singular. Doesn't matter. Okay, so el, la, that's the singular for the word the, the. You've been seeing it, I've been putting it in all of your notes, and hopefully you've been writing these down. There are no fast and furious rules here, but there are trends. If the word ends in O, like taco, you never say la taco, you say el taco. Well, usually, if it ends in O, it's going to be masculine, so you'll use el, because el is the masculine. Now, there's one big exception that I just taught in the last lesson. It's mano, but it's la mano, okay? If it ends in A, it's usually femenino, it's usually feminine, so it'll be la, okay? La silla, okay? La other things too. Okay, so, ends in O, usually but not always masculine. Ends in A, usually but not always femenino. And finally, if it ends in other letters, it's mostly memorization. And if it ends in E, O con acento, N, if it ends in these three letters, accent over the O, it's almost always femenino. I can't think of an example where it would be masculine immediately, but I'm sure they're out there. But if it ends in those 3 letters, it's almost always femenino. And that is Lección 5.